Hello and welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I'm not scared of spiders, but I am scared of spiders climbing in my bed at night, maybe crawling on my face, laying eggs inside my nose, and possibly biting me and poisoning me in my sleep.
And I'm Gary, and today we're going to review and discuss Arachnophobia, which released in 1990. Based on a story by Don Jacoby and Al Williams, with a screenplay by Don Jacoby and Wesley Strict, and directed by Frank Marshall. Ian, why don't you give us the synopsis?
Well, the story follows Jeff Daniels' character, Dr. Ross Jennings. He's turned up into a small American town so that he can take over from the old retiring doctor. But the old doctor has decided that he's not going to leave, and Ross is stuck in a bit of a situation because the local townsfolk don't like him. They especially don't like him now that a killer spider has turned up in the town and has started killing people off. Can Dr. Jennings stop the spider, or will his crippling arachnophobia stop him and his family from escaping?
Are you okay? It's okay.
The hell was that?
This is from director Frank Marshall, who not really directed very much.
No.
But this actually being his directorial debut, would eventually go on to direct Alive, which is really good, and then Congo in 1995, which isn't very good.
Yeah.
And he didn't really direct too much after that, which is fine considering his career, like behind the scenes as a producer and executive producer, working predominantly with Steven Spielberg. He was there behind the scenes on some of our most cherished movies from the 80s, including The Warriors, Poltergeist, Back to the Future trilogy, Indiana Jones trilogy, Gremlins 1 and 2, Goonies, Inner Space, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and he would even work with Martin Scorsese on Cape Fear.
Nice.
It's like, man, like, all of the movies this guy's worked on has just been gold, and probably to do with the directors and the teams making those movies, but he was a part of that, and so you can't help but when you watch this film, but still feel that air of Steven Spielberg, and it very much has that charm. And I have to say, like, this film, I think it's not quite as successful as Jaws in terms of making people terrified of the water, but it's definitely, I think, one of the most impactful and long-lasting spider horror movies that's ever been made.
Yeah. I absolutely love this movie. I remember the first time I watched it, my mum had rented it, and I think she expected me to be terrified of it because everybody was scared of spiders, and it was, this big thing with arachnophobia coming out. I watched it, and I think I was just more blown away by the absolute amazing performances throughout the film from start to finish, where it just, like, I didn't expect it to be as good. It's a movie about some spiders in a small town. How scary can that be? Half the time you throw a newspaper at them or you stomp on them. Yeah, okay, you get the occasional poisonous one, but that one you burn the fucking house down around it, right? That's how you deal with poisonous spiders. But like Gary said, this film, even though it's directed by Marshall, it just feels like Spielberg is kind of in the background going, "Oh, you should do that as a shot, and maybe put the camera there and put it here." Because especially with this opening sequence where you're down in the jungle, we're down in Venezuela. We don't know this at first, but it's a great, easy opening.
Oh, yeah. Like, most movies have, like, a 5-minute cold open, but, like, the first kill, or it sets up the mystery for what's to come. This film actually has a 20-minute, like, cold open, if you will, before the film starts. But yeah, it also goes to show you that some money was spent on this. Like, they actually went on location to Venezuela, and you get those wonderful vistas, those mountains, those waterfalls.
It's absolutely stunning.
It really is stunning. And we catch up with Julian Sands playing Dr. James Atherton, who is the, like, leading expert in spiders and insects, and he's there to try and discover some new species.
Which is always a fucking problem. Okay, as soon as the doctor goes, "We're looking for new species," people are gonna die.
Yeah. So I'm like, exciting. And they've got all these contraptions. He's got this thing, and he's like gassing this tree.
Yeah.
And they've set up all of these catchers, so all of the butterflies and bugs are falling down.
But strangely enough, we're following this photographer, Manley, who has turned up, and he's there just to document all of the different things that fall out of this tree. And it's, like I said, it's such a beautiful set piece, shot set up where they've got the smoke, they're going into the leaves of the tree, and you just start seeing butterflies and cockroaches and little insects kind of start to rain down. And then you start hearing the thumps and you're like, whoa, what the fuck's that? And then you see those spiders. And even now, like, this is 1990 and we're 2024 now. So you've got a good friggin' 34 years of time passed. When you see those things curled on their back, I know it's a model, but it doesn't make me want to put my face any closer to it.
Actually, like, even all of the dead spiders in this film were real ones.
Oh, whoa.
Unless they're on fire or being hurt in some way, then they're real spiders. Or they were... Because they, like... According to the production notes, the safety of all insects, especially the spiders, were paramount to the team making the film. So no spiders were going to be hurt or harmed. They eventually imported, I think, the main stars of the film from New Zealand,
right?
And they had an assault course set up for all of these different breeds of spiders to see which ones performed the best, which ones would then make it into the film. But yeah, all of the spiders were real ones for the most part, and even the dead ones, and so it adds that extra air of.
Yeah, and we get to know that there is something else in the tree. Now, is that the female spider? Because it doesn't actually tell you, like. During the film, there's going to be two spiders that are going to mate. And I always think that this is the female in this tree who kind of gets a little bit annoyed that Atherton is stealing.
I don't know, I think it's the general still.
They call it the general. Okay, so it's the male, it's the king. He's lost his soldiers and he fucking thinks about it. He stealthily leaps from the tree onto some of the supplies as Atherton and his crew head back to their camp.
Hides in the backpack, doesn't it?
It fucking hides! It fucking hides! You know? And it's so great the camera work because, like I said, it's still quite an oldish movie for 1990. So we are looking at practical effects. We are looking at sometimes that the mechanical spiders just look like mechanical hands with hair on the legs, but when you don't see them and you just see like the leaves rustling and these things leap,
it's when you just see the legs disappear out of shot, and it's shots like that make you go
I love the shadow work. The shadow work is amazing.
Now I have to say, like, there's a sequence obviously where he gets back and he's still feeling rough and he gets into his tent, gets into his bed, and we the spider's in the bed with him, but it's the fact that the sheets or the sleeping bag he's in is rustling and moving so much. I'm like, how big is it?
It's fucking huge.
It wakes him up and it bites him, and we watch him have a seizure and then lay down and die.
Yeah, and it's like instantaneous. And I remember as a kid just thinking, like I said, I'm not scared of spiders, but that's what spider venom can do. It can kill you instantaneously. Atherton and his assistant, they come across the body and they realize he's died, and so they decide to ship him back to America. But the general decides to hitch a lift as well. And we follow it all the way through the credit sequence with the title where we're heading now to the town, which is where we're going to see Dr. Ross Jennings turn up as well. But we still haven't met Jeff Daniels yet. We follow the coffin, head to the morgue assistant's place. They open it up and they realize that
a vampire has had at him.
Yeah, like something has gone wrong in the preservation of the body because the body is just drained of all blood. But we watch the spider kind of sneak out of the coffin, and then it scares a cat and a dog out through the cat flap. Like, it's stupid, it's farcical, but I grew up watching Jaws, so when I'm watching a POV shot of this spider moving up to the cat flap, I believe it's making its way outside.
Right, yeah. And it swiftly gets picked up, though, by a crow.
Yeah.
Like, oh, God, it's got him. And then the crow slumps and hits the ground, and the spider gets away. And it's great because now we have literally followed the spider to Jeff Daniels' new home.
Yes.
Just as he's pulling up with his family, and they're about to move in. So it's like, oh, okay, this is great. Now the film really starts 20 minutes into it, in a way.
And that, as well, I think, is paramount for Arachnophobia for setting up the horror trope. The new family moving into this town, they're the outsiders, but there's a killer right next door. It's so brilliant because the spider makes its way into the barn. You know, Jeff Daniels, you know, sets up the position that he's the dad and he's moved to the town for this new job. He's really excited. He's wanting to start a new thing for his family to get them out of the city because they're so scared of crime and murder and drugs and stuff. But he's afraid of spiders. It's fucking brilliant.
It's a great setup.
It's like Brody being afraid of the water.
Right, yeah, exactly, yeah. And so we have the whole sequence where he's petrified and Mum has to come in and get the spider and take it outside. And she takes it out and she puts it out into the barn. It's like, oh, you have no idea what you've just done.
No.
Because it's not long before we see the little house spider and the general touching tips. I'd probably do a little bit more than that too.
Touching tips. I have always just been amazed by how that little house spider gets bigger. And Gary and I were talking about this before we turned the camera on, that we just assume that as the film goes on, like little tidbits of script is passed out through the characters saying like, oh, we haven't heard any crickets recently, you know, or the number of birds has dropped down or something. So you just kind of assume that while the spiders are in the barn, because it does time jump like a month and a month and two. You know, you don't actually have it come up, but you do have...
Well, it's the fact that the neighbour is there to help the doctor who's getting ticketed for parking outside where he's going to be working. And she's like, well, I'll throw you a party at the end of the month when it's cooled down a little bit.
Yeah.
Cut to the party. You know, like, okay, so, yeah, we're establishing a time jump.
Yeah.
Which is fun because at the back of the mind, you need to have that time for the spiders to go and lay all the groundwork for what's to come.
Yeah. And I do love the fact that, like you said, with the neighbour, Margaret, she is the one person in the whole town who actually wants to work with Jennings. She does think that Dr. Sam Metcalf has reached the end of his time. He's a little bit, backwards in his medical practices, and they want the town to strive to do better. And so she sets up this party, and she gets Jennings to meet like the football coach from the school. Jennings' kids have settled down with Bunny Beechwood. You know, I always remember her character from this movie because of that, you know, do you want to go blow up a bullfrog line that she does? You know, and the kids are like, okay, let's go blow something up.
A neighbor. Seems nice.
What do you bet they're going to go chase fireflies or something?
Want to blow up a bullfrog? Okay.
As the family are heading home and everybody's leaving the party, the little spiders have broken out of their egg. Mum and Dad have moved the nest, or they moved the egg, don't they, into the basement, and a lot of the little spiders have escaped. And these little spiders are fucking terrifying. The way they move, the way they look, the way they flatten their body down onto the floor. There's just the production value behind the scenes of how they got these spiders, these real spiders, not CGI, not practical. These are real live insects being moved along between hot fans and lemon pledge.
Yes,
I think it is.
They use lemon pledge, which is like a furniture wax, to basically cover the areas they didn't want the spiders to go, because spiders didn't like touching it or going near it. So they basically had these pathways for the spiders to go. I think they also had like some vibrating wires or stuff as well to help guide them, but then also blowing hot air at them so that they would move. I mean, they were as safe as they can be with the real spiders, but the effect, the choice of the camera angles, the choice of the shadows, and the way that they move, it's what gets under your skin, and it's very effective. It's very well done. And so it's the thing as well, is that the film lets the audience know where the spiders are.
Yes.
But of course, the characters in the film are oblivious to it because they're so small, they don't think about it. And so when you see the hand go up for the light to turn it off, you see the spider in there, it's just like, no.
And you know it's instantaneous because all you have to hear is the hiss, the scream, and you know Margaret is dead.
Yeah.
And it is Russ, Jeff Daniels' character, who finds her the next morning, and he has this confrontation with Dr. Metcalf because he'd taken Margaret off of her heart medicine, which now Metcalf believes it caused a heart attack. And then we just have a couple more kills, which...
Well, he's at the school, isn't he? Because he'd already met the coach, and now he's meeting the team, and then they're all playing, and we watch the spider climb into the football helmet. He's just like,
no.
And yeah, the guy does the tackle. He gets taken down. Everyone surrounds him. The spider climbs out of the helmet, gets squished.
Yeah.
And he's dead. And so that's when Dr. Ross Jennings is like, right, I want you to exhume the other bodies. Like, I've seen this bite on the doctor's toe. I've seen this bite now behind the footballer's ear. And he's like, right, I think we've got a spider problem. And so he goes to try to find an expert on this.
Yeah, because we do lose Dr. Sam, and it's his wife, Evelyn Metcalf, played by Frances Bay. She's a wonderful actress. I mean, in The Mouth of Madness, she's absolutely brilliant in that. And she sees the little spider. So obviously now Jennings is starting to put this information together, and he contacts Atherton, but Atherton can only send his buddy, and it's kind of like getting Hooper back into the town again. This spider expert who comes in, he starts giving out the information of where they might hide, where they might be nesting. I love the fact because they go into that house, don't they, to investigate, and the sheriff comes across like a dead spider's corpse. Right. He's eating the cereal out of the box.
Just helping himself.
It's so brilliant because all the entire town has all these quirky characters that you're dealing with.
It feels almost like a Stephen King ensemble. They're all these stereotypical townspeople, but they're all played by magnificent character actors that brings it all to life. So the film does a great job after the first 20 minutes. The next 20 minutes establishes all these characters. Yeah. So you know their families and how they all interact with each other, and it makes you care.
Yes.
And that's the key thing here, is even though they are stereotypical two-dimensional characters, they're well played enough to make you care that you don't want to see something horrible happen to them, like a spider bite.
Yes. We also get introduced to freaking John Goodman's character, Delbert McClintock, who is the friggin' exterminator. Now, if there's one reason to watch Arachnophobia, and if you can't get past the spiders, it's John Goodman.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And he is so funny in this. Now, he wasn't originally the first choice. The director wanted John Candy in the role, but Spielberg was like, nah, look, I've just worked with John Goodman. He's good for this part. Put him in it. And he is brilliant. The way that he turns up, like, so full of himself. And he's just like, right, termite problem. Is your husband an expert in the matter? I didn't think so. And he's listening in. Yeah, and he's like, so it's like, I don't suppose anyone would mind if I tear down this whole ceiling, would you?
Would anybody object if I tore this floor out?
I would.
False alarm, then lead on.
So while they're investigating this house, and after the sheriff has found the dead spider's body, they're looking for a live one. And I love that setup where he opens up the picture and it fucking lunges out.
Oh, God, yeah.
It lands on the table, and Jeff Daniels is absolutely paralyzed with fear. And the spider expert is just like, look, I need you to move forward to distract it so I can capture it. And so he does. He moves forward, and the thing kind of moves to look at him. And so then they have to put the glass on top of it. And it's just the way that the spider's eyes look as well. The way that kind of the light reflects off them. And you just know that this thing is alive. This thing is moving. And it's only one. We have seen loads of them kind of go out into the town from the barn. And we know that mum and dad are in the basement just fucking away, making more.
And then so we see even more carnage around the town as we follow the morgue assistant and his wife are sat down with a big old bowl of popcorn ready to watch Wheel of Fortune. And we just see the hand going into the bowl with that spider in there. You're like, once you've seen it, it can never be unseen, and you'll always be nervous about eating like anything.
Yeah, when they go to his house and they find them sat in front of the TV, and then you watch it crawl out of his nose. Oh my God. Oh yeah, it's just it just freaks you out. And so it's a case of then trying to work out where the spiders are coming from. And so I think it's Atherton who realizes...
turned up at this point,
who realizes when he sees the web pictures that the wife has been taken
in the barn,
of the webs from the barn. So he goes, look, I need to go see this. And so he heads to the barn. And, I mean, Gary and I obviously discussed this. If this was Julian Sands playing this character really well, or if it was just a stupid mistake on his part, because he goes in there and he climbs his way up and he's just amazed by the webbing. And so he must know that there's a fucking type of spider in there that is just... He should just burn the building down, not go in there and try and make friends with it.
Right.
But then that's what he does. He goes in there and he kind of tickles the webbing a little bit that we'd seen him do in his office when he wants the spider to come out to eat its food. And that's what he does. He lures it out and it jumps on him and fucking
bites him, and well, he's done for.
He's done for.
I mean, they do eventually find his body as it collapses and falls down, covered in webbing, and spiders crawling all over him, and that was actually Julian Sands under there as well. That wasn't a mannequin or a dummy. That was really him.
Oh, nice.
Covered in the spiders. And he said, he didn't have a problem with the spiders. He knew that they were non-venomous, so they weren't going to hurt him.
Yeah.
He said it was still uncomfortable knowing they were crawling all over his face.
Oh, God, yeah.
But he managed, I mean, fantastic actor. Dearly missed.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, throughout the film, he felt like the authority on the matter, and when he turns up, you're like, we're saved, like somebody who knows what's going on and how to deal with it. But when he goes in there on his own, like, ding, 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 ring the dinner bell, I'm like,
yeah, I know.
What a waste.
But it also makes me think of Quint from Jaws. You know, Quint is the expert, and he gets killed off because he's making stupid, egotistical ideas about how to take out this creature. You know, Jeff Daniels is our main hero, and he's raced back to the house with his buddy and John Goodman, and he's just decided to get the family out of the house. And this is where we realize that the house is absolutely infested with these spiders. How the hell they managed to just film this and get them to do all of these perfect shots? Because to me, this entire finale is absolutely amazing filmmaking at its absolute fucking best, with the fact that they used live spiders. None of them were, or hopefully none of them were majorly harmed. Everybody hit all their marks. That shot where the spider runs across the TV on Michael J. Fox's face still fucking scares me.
Yeah, was the fact that he comes in and he's like, he knocks the TV over, and there's like 7 of them behind you. It's like, it's even worse. Yeah. And so they try to escape to get to the door, and they're all over the front door. So then they're running up the stairs. Spiders are coming out of the woodwork everywhere. They get into the bathroom. The spiders are coming in underneath the door frame. They're eventually taking away the door handle and coming in through there. They're bursting up out through the sink.
Yeah.
He gets the whole family out, and just as he's about to go through the window, when the spiders drop down in front of the window,
and he's just like,
like they're synchronized, blocking him off. It was like that for me. It was like, oh my God, what do you do?
Burn the house down.
Me inside it. It's great. Now, so the way they achieve some of those effects, like obviously it's a fake sink.
Yeah.
And they literally got the spiders in the pipe, and then they just blew hot air into the pipe, so all the spiders just burst out like it. So all the little tricks that they did just to make those skin crawling effects, really, really, really effective, really good.
Yeah, and Russ stumbles out of the bathroom, goes over the banister, doesn't he, and crashes through the floor, which had already been set up at the beginning of the movie that it was rotten wood. So he just absolutely crashes down into the basement, and it's just such an amazing set piece of being in this dark basement with all these shadows, with these spiders all over the place. That any
There's
of them
actually no spiders down there. Remember?
Oh yes,
we found out that the queen or the general sent its spiders out of its range because they're cannibalistic.
They're cannibalistic, yeah. So if you're finding no spiders in an area, there's a chance that the mum and dad are in that area as well. And he just has to face them off. And the film has brilliantly established his fear, his arachnophobia of this whole situation, but has also set him up as the only person who can properly take the goddamn spiders out.
Yeah, he ends up smacking it into the fuse box.
He does, yeah.
And fries its ass. And we're like, yeah!
Therapy.
He eventually finds the egg sac, doesn't he?
Yes,
so he's like, right, break the bottle. I'm going to chuck some wine on it, chuck some alcohol on it to burn it. But then it jumps up right beside him. So like, oh. And that's where we're kind of confused, like, how big then did the other one get? Because it was definitely much bigger than I saw it before.
That's it. I love that effect of when it's on the fuse box and it's just popping and the little kind of greenish goo is kind of coming out. But then, like you said, that's only one, and then you're having to take out this general, and the effects that they have for the general, to some people, they're absolutely noticeable of the fakeness of the robotic spider. But for me, when you have that close-up shot when you see the eyes of the spider. Like Jeff Daniels has got his aerosol can and his lighter, and he's made a makeshift flamethrower and trying to burn it out of like the wine rack. And you see the flames reflecting off the eyes of the spider. Like, I sit there sometimes thinking, is the spider just maliciously waiting for him now to turn his fucking back so that he can hit it? And he collapses the shelving unit on top of him.
Yeah.
And the spider's crawling slowly towards him, and he's getting ready to fucking smack it with the wood. But then, with that nail gun set up as well, as the thing lands towards him, it's on fire, it's flying towards him, he shoots it with the nail, it goes flying into the egg sac. Now it's a bit confusing because you had seen some of them escape out before it hits the egg sac, but I just assumed that as soon as it hits it, it killed pretty much everything else.
We are told, I think, in the film that the spiders don't have a particularly long lifespan.
Yeah.
And the fact that they can't mate anymore means they're not going to be able to reproduce.
Yeah.
Because of whatever genetic makeup they were made of in this film. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess maybe without the general around, they're kind of directionless.
Yeah.
But yeah, that should have hopefully dealt with it. I mean, the film doesn't do the typical "here's another egg sac that they missed in the barn."
Yeah.
Kind of cliffhanger ending. But yeah, I mean, we also have like John Goodman, the exterminator. He's still outside, like spraying and hosing down and stomping on all the bugs that are nearby. So yeah, they probably dealt with most of them.
That's it. And then John Goodman does come into the basement, saves Dennings, pulls him out, and like I said, the film could have done the cheesy ending with this extra egg, but I actually do kind of like this ending where we cut back to the city. Jennings and his wife and his family have moved back to the city because, well, it's got to be
moved to San Francisco now.
Yeah, it's got to be safer than the countryside, right? And they get hit by an earthquake, but they're not bothered by it because of what they've just been through.
Right, but then there's a second quake. Oh God! Now what?
More spiders.
Right, it's giant spiders. Oh jeez. Iain, what were your favourite scenes?
Oh man, I think I just absolutely love the entirety of the movie. Like, I do really love all of the spider effects. Like, I think I'll just stick with those because I could be gushing over the whole of the movie for hours. So I'm just going to steal all of the spider effects. The shadow work they have, the way you see the trees rustling every now and again. Like I said, that one shot where like General and House Spider are touching tips, as Gary says, just before they're about to do it. The way they drag the egg into the basement to get away from the barn. The way the little ones all scuttle out as they're going out to kill more people. The way it falls down from the lampshade or climbs into the slipper or it's on Michael J. Fox's face. Oh my God! And Jeff Daniels is all right.
Yeah. Yeah, there are some really great, outstanding and memorable moments in the film. All of the creepy, crawly, under your skin moments, like the spider in your bed, the spider in your lampshade, the spider in your helmet, the spider in your slippers, the spider in your breakfast cereal, the spider in the shower, the spider in the toilet, the spider in your popcorn bowl.
Yeah.
Seeing all that, it's enough to go, I'm done. I'm going to burn my house down.
One scene I do actually really like as well is where the two little girls are reading the story. And
Incy Wincy Spider.
And you get that spider come down and the eyes of the doll open.
Yeah, to look at it.
Yeah, and then they drop the book on it and then they stand on the book. I'm like, yeah, killed it.
Now, in order to achieve like the book being dropped on Spider, and there's also a sequence where John Goodman steps on the spider.
Yeah.
They used hollowed out. So basically we're seeing the top part, but the underneath was completely hollowed out.
Wow.
So it goes down on top and there's plenty of room for the spider to just be like, safe.
Oh, nice.
So
nice.
yeah, so those were real spiders in the crushing shots.
Wow.
But just, the props and the effects made it so it looked seamless.
Yeah, that's right. I'm bad.
I guess I also really loved the first 20 minutes and then the spider's journey from jumping into the coffin to getting to America and then coming out, being attacked by the bird and landing where it does. I was like, that was great. Following its entire journey, and then the film starts as the family moves in. I was like, yeah, this is really well done.
Yeah.
Delbert, like all the John Goodman scenes, where he's in there and he's in the bathroom. He's like, no spiders here. It's like he was right there.
Yeah,
you imbecile. And I do like the sequence where he's spraying the other spider, and he's like, "Well, I didn't kill it. Well, I'll just step on it." Yeah, I'm bad.
I'm bad.
It was just great.
Rock and roll.
I also really like Julian Sands in this film, and so like when he turns up, he feels like the authority. You feel like it's gonna be okay, and then he just rings the dinner bell. Like it's a great sequence, but just kind of disappointed that he exits the movie so early. And I guess there is one character who kind of disappears out of the movie, and we never found out what happened to him. And considering he was a character you don't really like, that's Sheriff Parsons.
Yeah,
like
true.
when they all go back to the house, he kind of drives off on his own.
He does, yeah.
And he's never seen again. Now, apparently there was a deleted scene that never materialized where he's driving and is attacked by the spider and crashes the car and dies.
Oh, you're right.
So I was just like, well, I guess, I mean, it would have been memorable if it was still in the film.
Yeah.
But I always wondered what happened to that character. But, yeah. Still. Ian, do you recommend Arachnophobia?
I most definitely recommend Arachnophobia to people who like spiders and to those who really absolutely are fucking terrified of spiders. This movie is absolutely brilliant, and I think as long as it never gets a remake and it is never messed with or tried to make look sharper or anything like that, it will just stand the test of time as just being an absolute classic. Jeff Daniels, you know, a lot of people just remember Jeff Daniels from friggin' Dumb and Dumber. I remember him from friggin' Timescape and Arachnophobia. These are his two absolute classic roles where he just shines these characters through to us, the audience, and we relate with him so much that we're terrified with him that things are going to happen. The spider effects are just some of the best animal special effects in a horror movie I have ever seen, and you know, other than Cujo, but that's just one dog. We're talking hundreds of spiders crawling all over the place. It's freaky as hell, and I love it.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm also going to be recommending Arachnophobia. This is a must-watch. It's one of the best creature features ever made, and one of, if not the best, horror comedy films about killer spiders. It's got a great cast, a simple premise, and good direction, balanced with horror moments while retaining a PG rating. It's very effective at making your skin crawl, and make you think twice before blindly putting your slippers on or heading to the bathroom. This film is nightmare fuel if you have a fear of spiders, and if you don't, well, this film might just be the cause of one. The practical effects are great, mixed in with real spiders, giving the illusion of real peril and danger, with choice cinematography to create real monsters. It's all very well done and very creepy. Jeff Daniels is great in the lead role, with a fun character arc as he faces his phobia in dramatic fashion, while Julian Sands and John Goodman steal every scene they are in, by contrast into how silly or serious they both are. Quality performances backed up by a terrific ensemble of character actors. This is a must-watch. It's funny, scary, holds up well, and is a true cult classic. 8 legs, 2 fangs, and an attitude. Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.
Yeah, that's right. I'm bad.